In the dead of night, something truly insane happened on a quiet suburban street. Karen Mercer, the HOA president, got caught stealing electricity like a common thief. She thought the rules never applied to her. Ryan lived 3 houses down in the peaceful cul-de-sac everyone loved. He was an electrical engineer who built his dream off-grid solar system himself. Years of weekends and late nights went into those gleaming panels on his roof. Battery banks hummed quietly in his garage, powering everything without the grid. One outdoor charger looked innocent enough beside his driveway. It fed his truck or tools straight from his own sunlight. For months, the neighborhood stayed calm and friendly. Kids rode bikes, neighbors waved hello. Then Karen spotted the charger during one of her clipboard patrols. She marched up in her loud pink blazer and matching scarf. Her overweight frame strained the designer buttons as she glared at the roof. "Those panels ruin the community aesthetic," she snapped, tapping her pen hard. Ryan wiped grease from his hands and met her with a calm smile. "City permits say otherwise, Karen. The HOA can read them anytime." She narrowed her eyes, storing the defeat like a grudge. Weeks passed with her fake polite smiles hiding pure venom. At 2 a.m., Ryan's monitoring app screamed an alert on his phone. Massive unexplained draw spiked through his private batteries. He pulled on a jacket and stepped outside into the cool air. There sat Karen's silver Tesla plugged into his charger like she owned it. She stood arms folded in pajamas, pretending nothing was weird. "Oh, you're awake, good," she said without a hint of shame. Ryan blinked twice, trying to process the entitlement. "What exactly are you doing with my power, Karen?" She shrugged like borrowing electricity was neighborly etiquette. "You weren't using it overnight, so I figured it wouldn't hurt anyone." He felt a laugh bubble up, but it died in his throat. This woman genuinely believed sunlight belonged to the HOA too. That night marked the quiet start of an all-out war. Next morning, Ryan checked the logs and his blood ran hot. She had been sneaking over for 3 full weeks every single night. 80 kilowatt-hours vanished into her luxury Tesla without a word. It wasn't the money that burned him deep inside. It was the pure, arrogant assumption that his hard work was community property. He printed graphs, timestamps, and totals like courtroom evidence. Then he marched straight to her door 3 houses down. Karen answered in another power blazer, looking ready for battle. "Can I help you, Ryan?" she asked with zero embarrassment. He held up the stack of papers right in her face. "You've been charging your car from my solar system for weeks." She glanced at the data, then waved it away like smoke. "Technically, your charger sits outside the house, so it's shared space." Ryan's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice steady and low. "That outlet runs on my private batteries, not the public grid." Karen crossed her arms over her ample chest, smiling thinly. "You make excess power anyway. I've seen those big panels." He tapped the top page hard enough to make it rustle. "That excess still belongs to me, not the whole neighborhood." She actually laughed, a short, sharp sound full of superiority. "Oh, please, you didn't pay for sunlight, did you?" The door clicked shut in his face before he could reply. Ryan stood on her porch, feeling the rage mix with dark amusement. Only a Karen could twist solar power into HOA communism. 5 days later, an official violation notice landed in his mailbox. It accused him of energy exclusivity, harming community sharing. Ryan read the nonsense 3 times, then laughed until his sides hurt. Diane Mercer had invented a rule claiming his system for everyone. He called his buddy Marcus that same evening, still chuckling bitterly. Marcus, an old plant engineer, listened, then burst out laughing too. "You're telling me the HOA queen is literally stealing your son?" Ryan explained the logs, the confrontation, and the absurd letter. Marcus whistled low, then offered a wickedly clever idea. "Build a decoy outlet with a protective voltage spike relay. Nothing dangerous, just enough to fry a cable and scare the thief." Ryan spent 3 evenings wiring it in secret with a grin. The new charger looked identical right down to the cable. A bright yellow sign warned private power, do not touch. Saturday night, the neighborhood slept peacefully under porch lights. Ryan sat at his monitor with iced tea and a security feed. At 12:42 a.m., headlights crept down the silent street. Karen parked her Tesla casually like it was her personal station. She glanced at the yellow sign, then shrugged it off. She plugged the cable into her car without a second thought. 10 seconds later, the driveway lit up like fireworks on the 4th. A sharp crack split the air, followed by a fountain of sparks. Karen screamed loud enough to wake half the block. Her Tesla went dead instantly, the charging port blackened and ruined. Ryan watched the monitor, sipping his tea, trying not to cackle. The protective relay had worked perfectly, teaching one hell of a lesson. Morning brought furious pounding on Ryan's front door. Karen stood there red-faced, flanked by 2 bewildered HOA board members. Her Tesla sat across the street looking sad and useless. "You sabotaged my car, you maniac!" she shrieked, pointing wildly. Ryan leaned against the doorframe, cool as the morning breeze. "Morning, Karen, nice to see you without the midnight sneaking." Paul, the quiet older board member, cleared his throat awkwardly. "We're here to get the facts before this blows up." Karen spun on him, eyes blazing with entitled fury. "He created a hazardous device on community property." Ryan stepped inside for a second, then returned with a thick binder. Inside were weeks of logs, camera screenshots, and exact power totals. He handed it to Paul, who flipped through pages in stunned silence. "Diane, did you really plug into his system night after night?" Karen's face flushed deeper than her blazer. "That's not the point, he left it accessible." Erica, the younger board member, leaned in and muttered softly. "Wow, those timestamps match every night you said." The word "stole" hung heavy in the fresh suburban air. Paul closed the binder, slowly shaking his head in disbelief. "This isn't community utilities, Karen, this is straight theft." Birds chirped somewhere nearby while a lawnmower hummed 2 doors down. Karen straightened her shoulders, trying to reclaim her queenly posture. "This neighborhood has standards, and I enforce them." Paul met her stare calmly without blinking once. "Yes, and theft usually violates every standard we have." For the first time, Karen looked truly small and ridiculous. She snatched the binder back and shoved it toward Ryan. "You'll hear from the board soon enough, this isn't over." She stormed off down the driveway, phone already glued to her ear. Paul lingered a moment, giving Ryan a subtle approving nod. "Nice system you built there, really impressive work." The board members followed Karen, leaving the street quiet again. Word spread fast through the neighborhood like wildfire on dry grass. People whispered at mailboxes and chuckled behind closed doors. Weeks later, Karen quietly stepped down as HOA president. She claimed personal time commitments, but everyone knew the truth. Her midnight theft and the spectacular spark show had gone viral locally. Ryan never needed the decoy charger again after that night. Boundaries once reinforced with electricity tended to stay respected. He still sat in the garage, sometimes staring at the monitor screen. A small smile crossed his face, remembering the crack and the scream. All Karen had to do was knock and ask like a normal person. Instead, greed turned her into the punchline of the entire block. In the end, the quiet engineer protected what was his without apology. The petty tyrant learned that even small kingdoms have limits. Sunlight might be free, but entitlement always comes with a shocking price. And somewhere in that peaceful suburb, justice tasted just a little bit sweeter.